Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka MAZUMA TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope you had a great day overall, man. I'm back at y'all with some more boxing talk. We're going to be speaking about Richardson Hitchins finally making a move up to 147 pounds, who may be possibly next for his welterweight debut. We're going to be speaking about Inoue versus Junto Nakatani heating up in the latest video with Naoya doing a media workout. Then, of course, we're going to get into some open boxing topics. But before we get into all of that, I'm sorry, yo. I'm gassy as a motherfucker right now. I mean, if y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way in, that'd be very much appreciated. We on the road to 4K. We well into the 34. Wait, where we at? 3,400 mark. They're going to crack that 3,500 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. What's going on, y'all? I see a few comments in the building thus far. Shout out to my boy Josue Hernandez. He said, "What's up, MAZUMA? Hopefully you had a blessed day so far." I ain't gonna lie, man. There's been a lot of ups and downs, man. I'm just glad to get this day over with, bro. I mean, I don't know if it's just something in the air, but it's a lot of bullshit going on today that, I mean, I'm ready to just get this day over with and just start fresh tomorrow because, today definitely wasn't it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna just say that, but it is what it is. We got through the day, and we gonna continue moving forward. You feel me? Jay, what up? Eduardo Alvarez, what's going on? Salute from Michigan. Yeah, shout out to Michigan, man. You know what I mean? Shout out to Grand Rapids. Shout out to Flint. Shout out to Detroit. You know what I mean? Shout out to all the major areas around there. You feel what I'm saying? Marissa Alvarez, what's going on? Little sis, how you feeling? Agent 86, what up? What's going on, man? What's up? What's up? Talk to me, man. What's on your mind? Before we get the boxing talk started, what's on your mind, man? Because I don't plan on being here too long. So, you know what I mean, what's up? What's up? Josue Hernandez says, "MAZUMA, will you be doing a live stream for Junto and Inoue? I wonder what the fight times are going to be because that's going to be out in Tokyo, so that's going to be like very early for us. Let me see. Let's take a look real quick. That might be a little tough for me to do. I ain't gonna lie. That's gonna end up happening around like 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I don't even know. I might be working that day. You know what I mean? So it depends. If I'm off that day, definitely. If not, because I also have my son that weekend. I have my son, so I mean, I'm sure he'll be up. And that's if I'm not working. I usually work at 8:30 on Saturdays if I'm working on Saturdays. I don't know. I got to see how that is. But regardless, I'm definitely going to be making a video about it. Agent 86 said nothing planning to get a hotel for the 27th. Yeah, I've seen a few people doing that, man. Me personally, I'm going to go straight back to Philly. You know what I mean? Most likely, we'll see. I don't really see myself staying overnight in New York. I've never stayed overnight in New York before. All I all I've ever done was go to New York, be there for a little bit, then drive right back to the city, right back to Philly. I mean, Eduardo Alvarez said, heard Devin and Rolly about to be signed. That's not what I heard. Where did you get that information from, brother? I heard that fight is, absolutely done with, to be honest with you. Where did you get this information? Do you know something that we don't know, brother? That's crazy. Let me find out. My boy got a source or something. He knows something we don't know. I don't know. I've never stayed though. I've never stayed overnight in New York. Like I've never. Um, I got a few people. I got a few homies that's going to the fights, but they actually spending the whole weekend out in New York. I'm like, shit, y'all got that. I mean, I done spent a little pretty penny for that fight ticket. I'm not about to drop another 12, 1,300 to stay a weekend at a hotel. That's insane. You know what I mean? New York, that shit ain't no joke, bro. Everything expensive as fuck over there. It would literally be cheaper for me to go home. I mean, it's going to waste 2 hours of my time, but I'm gonna have to go home eventually anyway, so I might as well get that shit over with after the fight. Shit, I'm cool. I gotta figure out whether I'm driving out with my pop or I'm driving on my own. I'll figure that shit out. You know what I mean? He said just for the night. Shit, even just for the night, that shit expensive, man. If you in a nice area, that's probably gonna be 300 for the night. Shit. But regardless, I am happy to be meeting everybody, man, that I've been on the internet politicking with for what, 3 years? 2, 3 years? Shit, man. You know what I mean? But we got some things to currently discuss, in the boxing world. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to go ahead and get this over with because, like I said, I don't plan on being here, that long. I ain't going to do it live like I did last night where it was like 3 hours and shit like that. So let's get into this article right here. Shout out to Ring Magazine for cooking up on this article. Let's see who wrote this. Who wrote this article? Mike Coppinger. Okay. Am I wrong to say, Eduardo Alvarez said, am I wrong to say Norman Jr. fighting a can? I don't even know who he's fighting, to be honest with you. I have no knowledge of who that guy is, so I'm going to reserve my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna reserve my opinion on dude because I've never seen dude fight, but I'm seeing a lot of people are unimpressed with his opponent. But at the end of the day, I guess Brian Norman and his team felt like, you know what I mean, with his new trainer, you know what I mean, with the new thing, him firing his father and having his new trainer and Ronnie Shields, maybe they feel like they have to test the waters to see exactly where their chemistry is at. You know what I mean? Can they have some type of opponent that they could work on things that they've been going over in camp together, man, because there's some situations where like a trainer and a fighter could click right away. You know what I'm saying? And there's times where it may take a few fights in order for them to build some sort of chemistry. Brian Norman Jr. has always been taught underneath his, under his dad, so under his dad's tutelage. So that's literally all he knows. So I don't know what Brian Norman mindset is or how he takes the atmosphere over with Ronnie Shields in them. But what I could say is it's going to be a bit of an adjustment because, they may have drastic differences in personality. Brian Norman Sr. and Ronnie Shields, they may have different approaches. They may have different philosophies on the sport of boxing. There may be things that Ronnie Shields prioritizes more than Brian Norman Sr., and the opposite is also true. You know what I'm saying? So maybe they feel like they need somebody in front of them that's, tough, or at least going to give them some rounds and, a winnable fight, but a fight where, he can actually work on things to see exactly how he's developing. That's what I take it as. But like I said, I don't even know his opponent's name. So I'm not really going to speak on him. You know what I mean? I got to watch some tape to give you guys more of a, detailed opinion about it. Are they fighting at the Barclays? It's the Barclays Center. The Barclays Center. Yeah, that's where they're going to be fighting in Brooklyn. If you're talking about Xander Zayas and Jaron Ennis. Yeah, absolutely. But let's get into this article right here, man. Shout out to Mike Coppinger for putting this together. I think he was one of the first to break the news. You know what I'm saying? And this is just about a 1-minute read, man. It says Hitchins, the ring's #2 contender at 140 pounds. Crazy to call him a contender when he was a fucking IBF champion, but I guess according to the ring, if you don't have the ring, you're a contender. Whatever. Recently signed with Zuffa Boxing and now joins Conor Benn in the promotion's welterweight division. This is Hitchins' quote. Or Keith Connolly's quote. It says it was a tough decision for Hitchins, but he's outgrown the weight. He's outgrown the weight class. He's been fighting at 140 since he was 16 as an amateur, said Connolly, who also manages Ben. Hitchins is an elite fighter, and I truly believe he'll be even better and stronger at welterweight, and that he'll be fighting for a world title at 147 in the next 12 months. Okay, so y'all aiming for him to actually fight for a world title within a year of being with Zuffa. It's kind of confusing when, Zuffa has said in the past that they're not recognizing any sanctioning bodies. And a fighter, a fighter that signed with Zuffa, who was a world champion at one point in time, was actually stripped for basically participating in the Zuffa event in Jai Opataya. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of funny how They saying they're going to fight for a world title in the next 12 months. Did Zuffa change their mind? Are they now, acknowledging sanctioning bodies? Very, very interesting. But it says Brooklyn's Hitchins, 20-0 with 8 knockouts, is in talks for a mandatory title defense against Mexico's Landolfo Delgado. The IBF will now fill the vacancy at 140 with the number 1 ranked Delgado against the next available contender. That's currently Oscar Duarte, who's ranked 3rd. The number 2 spot is vacant. Mexico's Duarte was set to challenge Hitchins for the IBF title in the chief support bout to Ryan Garcia Mario Barrios on February 21st in Las Vegas. On fight day, Hitchins fell ill and withdrew from the bout. Okay. Says he pulled out after the IBF's mandated same-day weigh-in, which limits champions and challengers from adding more than 10 pounds above the division's limit the morning of fights. And, basically, this just talks about shit that we already know. But according to Richardson Hitchins, he can no longer make the weight. So it really poses me to ask the question, did you pull out of the fight with Oscar Duarte because you had a tough weight cut and you didn't want to go through the fight, feeling drained, or was it really food poisoning? Makes me, think about certain things. It makes me feel like there was some cap involved in terms of the excuse made for why he pulled out of the Oscar Duarte fight. But it is what it is. Hitchins is finally allowing himself to grow, allowing himself to go up to 147. Why it took so long for him to move up to 147, I have no idea. I don't even understand why it was such a crazy or difficult choice for him to make. He clearly was having trouble with making the weight. He's been suffering getting down to that weight for a very long time. To be at the weight since you were 16 and you're a grown-ass man now, I don't even know. How old is Hitchins? Like, Richardson Hitchins got to be in his late 20s already. Yeah, you literally 28 years old. You older than me. So you've been in the weight for 12 years and was refusing to move up for some sort of reason. Like, it was pretty weird. It almost made me feel like he was terrified of the welterweight division, or at least, the people that happen to be involved in the division. But one thing I'm going to say, man, is the 147 division is up, running again. It's popping. It got some notable names. After Errol Spence and, Terrence Crawford left the division, or at least walked away from the division, it was a bit dead dead for a little while. Wasn't much really going on in the division. Didn't really have much competition, but now you starting to get all of these guys from 140 going up there. Hitchins just moved up. Teofimo said he moving up. Leon Paro, moved up. You know what I'm saying? Devin Haney's a champion there. I guess you can talk about Lewis Crocker and shit like that, but I even heard Super Matias is moving up. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a lot of new names in the division. You got Rolly Romero as well. You got Ryan Garcia. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of good names at welterweight right now. And, I wish they would have came around while Boots still had something left in the division when he was actually making the weight comfortably. Regardless, it is what it is. Eventually, them 47-pound guys are going to go up to 54. And, hopefully Boots will still be around for that situation, because I would love to see him get in the mix with some of these fights, man. You know what I mean? And you already know eventually Keyshawn Davis is going to move up to 47. You know what I mean? Shakur might actually take a little look up there and see what's going on. Conor Benn, is saying that he's going to be at 147 in his next fight as well. So, 147 about to be on and popping. It's going to be one of the most action-packed divisions in the sport of boxing eventually, once again. But the question is, are these guys going to fight each other? Because we've had deep divisions with, great fighters, but they just weren't fighting each other. For instance, lightweight. We had lightweight. We had all of these talented motherfuckers, Teofimo, you had Shakur, you had Devin Haney, you had Gervonta Davis, you had all of these guys, but they just weren't fighting each other. So it was like, how good is this division really if these guys aren't giving each other, opportunities to fight? You know what I mean? So that's what I thought was weird more than anything, to be honest. But, hopefully welterweight doesn't have that curse on it. Hopefully we can see some elite level fights. And, I've been very critical of Richardson Hitchins. I feel like he does a lot of things that makes me feel like he doesn't believe in himself, that he's unsure of himself. You know what I'm saying? Especially with his recent, pullout with Oscar Duarte. But, I guess this is a new chapter in his career. He's going up into the welterweight division. One thing that he could fall back on is that he's a former world champion with title defenses. With some solid names on his resume. So, they're saying that they're going to be campaigning for a world title within the next, 12 months. That's what Keith Connolly's saying. Richardson Hitchins is a former IBF junior welterweight champion. Maybe he'll be campaigning, in the IBF at 147 pounds. And we all know who's a champion there. That's Lewis Crocker. And, if they were to make that fight tomorrow, I'm putting all of my money on Richardson Hitchins. He's going to completely outclass Lewis Crocker. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. And there's actually guys, in this division like Leon Paro that he's beat before who may possibly become world champion again as well. So, things just got a little bit more interesting at 147. It's going to be very interesting to see as well who Richardson Hitchins is going to be fighting in his Zuffa debut. Is it going to be Lindolfo Delgado? If so, wait, no, never mind. It was supposed to be Lindolfo Delgado at 140 pounds, but since he's moved up, it's going to be very interesting to see who he'll be making his welterweight debut against at Zuffa. You know what I mean? Conor Benn is there, but are they making Conor Benn and Richardson Hitchins? No, not at all. It'd be dope to see. I would love to see Richardson Hitchins box the fuck out of Conor Benn, pack him up, all that good shit, embarrass him, shut him out. But I highly doubt they're making that fight anytime soon, man. But so gonna be interesting to see who he fights. If he's fighting for a world title in the next 12 months, according to his manager, I wonder which route he's gonna take. You got Devin Haney, you got Rolly Romero, somebody who beat the shit out of Hitchins in sparring. So that'll be an interesting little fight if they're able to get that made. You got Lewis Crocker. And who's the other champion? Who else am I missing out on? Who I'm missing? There's Devin. You got Devin. You got Rolly. You got Devin. You got Rolly. You got Lewis Crocker. And then you got Ryan Garcia. So, either one of those fights will be interesting for Richardson Hitchins. In all honesty, Devin Haney and him do have bad blood. It's a good one. Rolly Romero and Hitchins, they got history from sparring in the past. I'm sure, I don't know if Richardson Hitchins and Lewis Crocker have any type of history whatsoever, but that'll probably be his easiest choice in terms of facing top opposition. I don't know if Ryan Garcia and Richardson Hitchins really have a past or have gotten into it. I can't really recall many situations, but those are all big fights for him. Those are all big fights for him. And, once Hitchins, once Keyshawn Davis goes up at welterweight, that's another big fight for Richardson Hitchins. As much as he's talked shit about Keyshawn and how confident he feels like he is, or at least he comes across when it comes to fighting Keyshawn Davis, could be a good one. And maybe that'll entice Shakur Stevenson to move up the welterweight. I think that's what enticed Shakur to go up to 135 because of how much smoke was in the division, because of how much competition it was. Maybe he'll do the same for 47. He's looking a little bit hesitant right now, but fighters change their mind every day. So, we'll see. So that's the news on Richardson Hitchins. Richardson Hitchins officially moving up to 147 pounds. We don't know who's next, but hopefully his next opponent will be his best opponent to date. I would hate to see Richardson Hitchins fight an absolute scrub to get his feet wet at Zuffa. It's like, nah, come on, man. We don't want to see that shit. So hopefully it's somebody credible. It ain't no bullshit that, we got to talk about later down the line. So there's that. So what I also wanted to get into, man, I was sitting back and I seen there was a bunch of footage out of Naoya and Inoue training sessions. And I ain't gonna lie, man, Naoya and Inoue looks shitty sharp, man. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. Naoya and Inoue, I can see why. He's a pound for pound level fighter. And I don't know what the video title is, but there's a bunch of Chinese symbols. Or Japanese symbols. I'm sorry, he's from Japan. And this is him training, man. Getting ready for one of the biggest fights, if not the biggest fight of his career. You already know that shit is gonna do astronomical numbers out in Japan against Junto Nakatani because he's a very much, he's an undefeated multi-division champion, just like Naoya and Inoue from Japan. So this is gonna be an absolute mega fight. It's going down in the beginning of May, and this is This is just some short clips of Naoya and Inoue shadow boxing. You know what I mean? He's stretching, getting his body warmed up before he shadow boxes as he should. You know what I mean? You'd be surprised how many injuries you can avoid by just stretching and, warming your body up properly. So he's doing what he needs to do. I want to focus more in on like his shadow boxing. You know what I mean? He's mixing up a little bit of everything, man. Like you can really appreciate this from Inoue anyway, man. He's not really telegraphing his punches. He's bringing his hands right back and defensively. He's doing the little in and out movement to establish some type of rhythm, just like he did with Stephen Fulton throughout the fight. And he's keeping everything textbook, man. I love how he's extending all of his punches. He's mixing in some speed. You know what I mean? He's just very comfortable, very relaxed, and he's not rushing his punches. He's being fast, but he's actually, the mechanics behind his punches are, very smooth, very sharp, man. Very, very sharp. I love watching shadow boxing. I could watch shadow boxing just as much as I could watch a fight if it's being done right. You feel what I'm saying? So he's just practicing his punches. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see Naoya anyway take his head off of the line more when he's throwing certain shots. I feel like that's why he's been susceptible to counters a lot in his career and why he's got knocked down multiple times. But all in all, man, I'm loving the footwork from Naoya anyway. I love how the way he's turning his punches over, the technique behind his punches. You can tell he does a whole lot of shadow boxing because his technique looks absolutely flawless, in my opinion. And even when he decides to get on his bicycle and move, his legs look fresh. You know what I mean? He looks strong. Just look at his calf muscles. You know what I mean? Look at like his pause. Like his thigh area. His legs look very defined. You can tell that he was definitely strengthening them up in camp and shit like that. And I love how short Naoya anyway punches are. You don't see no wide shots that, are telegraphed that you can see coming from a mile away and, get a little quick counter off, and stuff like that. Naoya anyway's punches look fully extended. They look, sharp, look like they got some good snap on them. And, it's great technique overall, man. I love it. He's putting his punches right behind each other too, just showing great fluidity in his offense. So, this is shit that I could watch all day, y'all. Seriously. Mr. Big Play Bray, speaking on 147, Josue says, I got Junto stopping anyway. I think anyway gets caught way too much. Yeah, this is a 50-50 fight for me. I ain't gonna lie to you. I do feel like Naoya anyway has the experience in terms of, fighting at a high level and stuff like that. But he does leave a lot of openers, a lot of counters, and Junto Nakatani is a beast with getting off those counters, especially when it's at long range and shit like that. But I think Naoya anyway is going to be aware of Junto's range. I think he's going to be aware of, how good Junto's timing is. And I think he's aware of Junto's power, especially when he catches somebody at the end of his left hand. So I think Naoya anyway is going to pull it off, man. Junto in his last fight, I guess I forgot his name. I think his name was like Sebastian Hernandez. He really exposed a lot of holes in like his, inside game, man. Junto looks very dangerous when, he's keeping people outside, at long range. That's not somewhere you want to really be with him because he can really put your lights out with one punch. He has that type of power. But I think Naoya anyway with his in and out movement, his feints and stuff like that, I think he's going to be able to close that gap against Junto. And I think Junto's going to have a hard time timing him. And from there, I could really see Naoya anyway, outworking him, landing the cleaner shots. And, Junto Nakatani, he's a hell of a fighter. He's very dangerous, could very well knock anyway smooth the fuck out. But we don't know exactly what Junto's, durability is neither. When that pressure starts getting put on him and he starts getting hit with some big shots, how do we know that he's going to stand up to him? Like, yeah, you got hit against Sebastian Hernandez. You show some durability. You definitely tough, but you ain't never fought nobody like Naoya anyway who has that speed, that has the punching power. You know what I'm saying? When you got that hand speed where motherfuckers have trouble, being able to see the punches coming whenever you letting them go, then on top of that, you have legit punching power and you got good, and your punches are very precise as well. That's a dangerous person, to be in the ring with. And I love when Naoya anyway is working on right here. Look at that. Punching, going right back to the defense. Everything is sharp. He's going right back to the head movement. He's using a little bit of everything, man. This is stuff that I could really appreciate as a boxing coach. He giving you a little bit of everything. He giving you head movement. He giving you angles. He giving you side. He giving you lateral movement. He giving you combinations. He giving you a little bit of everything, bro. He giving you good speed. He giving you a good jab. Great rhythm, fluidity, a little bit of everything, man. And you see now he goes right back to the defense after his offense. He's not sitting there with his hands down and trying to be a showman. He seems serious. He seems disciplined. He seems about his business. Bounce back 22 said, good question. Agent 86 question says, do you think this fight will make either fighter pound for pound number one? Look, man. Terrence Crawford is no longer in the picture. You got Alexander Usyk there. Usyk, he did some great shit. Daniel Dubois twice, Fury twice, Anthony Joshua twice. But if Naoya Inoue, if he dominates Junto, or Junto dominates Naoya Inoue, you could make a case for that. You could make a case for them being pound for pound number one, especially Naoya Inoue, because this man is just absolutely dominating these smaller weight classes. Like, look at what Inoue's doing, man. Like, becoming undisputed. You know what I mean? Beating elite level guys, man. Fighting any and everybody and disposing of each and every one of them. If he goes ahead and he washes Junto, like, Naoya is I think he's already a first ballot Hall of Famer, but we got to call him one of the greatest of this era. Let's just keep it 1,000, man. You know what I mean? I really feel like if Inoue washes Junto, Inoue might be pound for pound number one for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. Alexander Usyk momentum has slowed down a bit. To be honest with you, he's about to fight. I don't know dude name, man. I just know that I think he has like one professional fight. He's known for being a kickboxer. It's really like one of those, entertainment type of fights, like a Floyd McGregor. That's what it puts me in the mindset of, like a Ngannou Joshua, Ngannou Fury. It's just one of those fights of Alexander Usyk. And maybe that's the type time Usyk's on. Like, yo, I done gave y'all all these big fights, man. I showed how great I am now. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do some entertainment shit, aka I want to get a little bit of money. Put me in some money fights. Maybe, Turk Yalashik cashed him out for the opportunity. I don't know. But Usyk, now if Usyk go ahead and he fight Fabio Wardley, knock him out, beat him, whatever the case is, and he gets that belt back, it's like, yo, this motherfucker is just dominating this heavyweight division. You know what I'm saying? Let's say he fights EJ Cabiel, who's one of the most dangerous contenders in the division right now, got the WBC interim. If he goes ahead and he washes Cabiel, come on, man. Like, that's very impressive. So I think it'll be a back and forth. Usyk is great in his own right. Naoya Inoue is great in his own right. But let's say Inoue washes Junto, right? We might put him at pound for pound number one. But what if this dude, Alexander Usyk, fuck around, fight Fabio Wardley, wash him, fight EJ Cabiel, wash him, and then just go out at the top of the game? It's like his resume is crazy at this point. So that's a great discussion, to be honest with you. I could talk about that all day. But Inoue beats Junto, absolutely pound for pound number one at this moment. If Junto beats Inoue, he definitely cracking that top three. That's just how I see it. Or he may be pound for pound number one in his own right. So, it's a great fight between two established fighters, undefeated, young. In my opinion, they both seem to be in their prime. I don't see anybody really on the decline right now. They both got weaknesses in their game. It's going to come down to who, has the better game plan. Not only has the better game plan, but is able to execute it to the best of their ability. If Inoue is capable of closing that gap and taking away Junto Nakatani's range, Nakatani's in trouble. If Junto keeps that range on Naoya Inoue and makes him pay for, lunging in with shots and getting overly aggressive, he might knock Inoue the fuck out. Like, I'm telling you, like, we've seen this dude Inoue get dropped multiple times, hurt multiple times. Who's to say that Junto can't do it? You know what I mean? Like, those wiry frames, like them dudes who be skinny, wiry like that. And then, I heard them say that motherfuckers got that rubber band power. I think Junto's power is set up a little bit different, man. I think his power is just absolutely devastating, especially if he catches you on the end of one of those straight shots. You know what I mean? Or even one of those hooks. I've seen him put guys like Maloney to sleep with a hook. You know, I've seen him hurt dudes with uppercuts. And so the dude is just cracking. You feel what I'm saying? And Inoue has been hurt by guys, in my opinion, who are, you know, not on the same level as a Nakatani, not as intelligent. So this is a dangerous fight for both guys. I'm really, really looking forward to this fight. This is definitely one of the fights of the year. And I don't know why it's not getting that much of a buzz in the U.S. Maybe because it's a fight in Japan against two Japanese guys. But as a hardcore boxer fan, you should be absolutely excited for this fight. We didn't get this fight when it was too late. We didn't get this fight when one guy came off of a loss, or this other guy hasn't been the same. No, you beating two guys at the peak of their career right now. You beating two guys. I mean, you got two guys in their prime putting it all on the line. Nakatani's looking to prove himself against the top dog in Japan. Inoue's looking to solidify himself as a top dog in Japan. Because if Inoue beat Nakatani, niggas really can't tell him shit. So, great fight. My boy Derek, the Maestro Moore in the building, he said, shout out to the skinny niggas with power. Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the hardest punches I ever felt was from a skinny motherfucker, bro. And then the ones who be built all muscular, like Tim Bradley and shit, can't even crack a motherfucking egg. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? My boy Rouse said, yeah, it should have been more promoted. It should have got promoted more. 50-50 fight of two dudes in their prime. Absolutely. Absolutely. But maybe they feel like they don't have to do too much promoting because for one is going down in Japan, and that fight is gonna sell itself over there. Don't nobody gotta do too much advertising or talking. Japan gonna get behind their people. You know what I mean? But we watching Inoue hit the bag right now. And look, I like the little steps off the line from Inoue. You know what I mean? He's ending all of his combinations with his lead hand, putting himself in great defensive position, after the fact. Giving us he giving us the angles, stepping around the bag, staying light on his feet. Man, I like them winning heavy bags, man. I wish we could afford some. I know they so expensive though. Like the L steps, the level changes, the head movement. Naoya Inoue is a really good fighter, man. He really is. He has a lot of tools. See how he keeping that opposite hand up? He keeping that opposite hand up, regardless of whatever punch he's throwing. He's keeping that opposite hand up. He's looking defensively disciplined right now. You know what I mean? And he's gonna need to be being in there with somebody like Junto who can make you pay for the smallest mistake. Shay said, "You think his eye will be okay? His eye looked bad in his last fight. Are you referring to Junto? Because if that's the case, I'm sure it doesn't heal by now. You know what I mean? I don't even think you can fight without getting your eyes checked. So, the eyes should be good enough for him to compete. That's all that matters, to be honest with you." Shay follows up and says, "Inoue say he can't lose to him is more than boxing." Yeah, I seen that. I think he said something along the lines of like him losing to Junto is like unacceptable and shit like that. And I get it. This situation, because there's a domestic rivalry going on between the two, man. They both from Japan. You know what I mean? They both looking to solidify themselves as the guys of their country. And whoever loses will forever be known as the number two guy in Japan. Nobody wants to be known as number two. You feel me? And I ain't gonna lie, I feel like these, whenever it's like somebody of the same ethnicity going against each other, there'd be a lot of time where motherfuckers get cold feet, man. Like I feel like one of the biggest reasons why Canelo Benavidez didn't happen was because they were both two Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? Nope, you ain't about to get me with no copyrights. Shit. But yeah, out of power said could only be one king, exactly. So whoever comes up short in this one, You know what I mean? They lose all bragging rights. They're going to be known as, yeah, they was a good fighter, but they lost to this person. You feel what I'm saying? It's a passing of the torch, I guess, in a sense, or they battling over the crown, and whoever don't walk away with the crown, I mean, they're gonna blend in with everybody else who lost the Inoue. So it's a lot on the line. Their pride is on the line, their competitiveness is on the line, you know, their reputation is on the line. I ain't gonna lie to you. So it's gonna be a hell of a fight. It's gonna be pressure on both guys to succeed. And one thing about boxing, only one motherfucker gonna walk away with it. And unless it's a draw, then nobody walks away with it. But for the most, for the most part, one person has to win, another person has to lose. And both of these guys have the abilities to make this fight end very tragically. Boxing Wiz says Inoue plus Benavidez money line minus 176. Lock it in. Befeo says, if you think about this is the only fight we've seen two prime for prime elites in this era. Most happened quite early above versus, most happened quite later. I'm sorry. That's how you know I'm tired of shit. Bud versus Spence, Floyd versus Pacquiao, AJ versus Wilder, AJ versus Fury. I could be wrong. I mean, Xander versus Boots is another example, but you're saying prime elites in this era. I think that Boots and Zayas are looking to prove that they're elite right now. They both have been unified champions, but they don't have like that big signature win on their record. If Xander wins, he has a signature win on his resume. If Boots wins, he gets a signature win on his resume. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't take nothing away from Boots. If Boots beats Zayas, he became unified by beating the unified champion who fought for both of his belts. You know what I mean? So, Buffet, you might be on to something. You might be on to something. You know what I mean? My boy Shay in the building said, Mark, off topic, but if you were in the gym where all the fighters left and you're the best fighter, would you still stay? Hold on. I cannot read tonight. I'm sorry, y'all. Off topic, but if you were in a gym where all the fighters left, what? Where all the fighters left and you're the best fighter, would you still stay? I mean, it depends on the situation. How's the coaching? You know what I mean? How's the sparring? How's my career going? Am I winning? Am I breaking even? Like, what's the situation? That's what I would assess. I think a lot of people feel like if you're the best in the room, that you shouldn't be in the room. Not necessarily, because there's a best guy in every camp. Like, Canelo has always been the best fighter in his stable with Eddie Reynoso and shit like that. Did he leave Eddie Reynoso because he happened to be better than Ryan and Andy Ruiz and Frank Sanchez and Luis Neri and shit? No, like he stuck around and he continued to develop his craft. So it's not like a shoo-in that I'll leave a gym if I'm the best fighter there, or if everybody else left. It just depends. Am I getting what I'm supposed to get? Am I getting what I feel like I deserve out of this situation? If I do, then most likely I'll stay. If not, then I gotta explore different avenues. Ooh-wee. Eduardo Alvarez said, "Who's Zufa signed this week? They've been signing every week." Well, I don't know who they signed. It's still the beginning of the week. It's Monday. But last I heard, they signed Edgar Berlanga and Richardson Hitchins. That's the latest signings. I don't know, and they signed Conor Benn to a multi-fight deal as well. After signing them for a one-fight deal, so that's what I've heard so far. They might have made some little small signings in the process, but in terms of like big notable names, that's the ones that I'm aware of. Out of Palace said that's the only thing I respect about Canelo, his loyalty to Reynoso. I don't like both though, but I respect loyalty. He started with them. Yeah, you can respect that with just about anybody because especially Canelo Alvarez, because when he lost to Floyd, everybody was saying, "Oh, he needs to leave." Eddie, he needs to leave, Chepo and stuff like that. And he didn't listen to him because they was with him from the very beginning. He's not going to switch up because he had a little bit of controversy in his career or, a loss. You know what I mean? He continued to develop with them, and he went on to do great things with them. Despite the things that he's done in his career that may taint his career forever. The clenbuterol situation and all that. Even with Eddie Reynoso having multiple fighters that test positive, they done great things together. Like Canelo's a 4-division world champion, undisputed. He became undisputed 2 times at 168. First ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest Mexican fighters ever laced up a pair of gloves. For Eddie Reynoso to be a part of that speaks volumes to his coaching and how far he's come as a coach. How many people could say that they've built, Chepo and Eddie, of course, how many of them could say that they built up a Canelo Alvarez from the ground up? Who could say that they built up one of the most biggest draws to ever come out of the sport of boxing? Not anybody could just say that, man. That's like the ultimate accomplishment as a trainer, building a fighter from the ground up to become world champion. And then on top of that, staying with them throughout the entire course of their career. That's so rare, bro. Because you got goofy ass niggas like Tim Bradley and shit who, do all this great stuff in boxing. And then when they get to, these big fights or whatever the case is, they want to sell their coaches out and, go with an old white man because they don't feel right unless they got white man validation. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got corny motherfuckers like that. You got corny motherfuckers like Triple G who got the he walked in the Abel Sanchez's gym out in Big Bear. Abel Sanchez was promoting him better than his promoters. Drama show, Mexican style, blah blah blah. Even Abel Sanchez was disrespecting black fighters. Oh, black fighters don't sell, blah blah blah. Saying all this goofy shit as if Triple G never fought black fighters. But regardless, um, Triple G ends up getting a huge deal from the zone. Then as soon as he get that huge deal, he kicked Abel Sanchez to the curb. That snake shit. Daniel Jacobs did the same shit to Andre Rozier. That snake shit. It be happening all the time, bro. Shay said most coaches get fighters when they good. Very hard to build one. There's 2 ways to really solidify whether you're a true coach or not. It's if one, you build a fighter from the ground up. That's the best way to really prove that you are a great coach. Can't nobody take anything away from you if you build a fighter from the ground up, from when they first walk into a gym to making them a world champion. That's the ultimate goal. Or you take a product that's already solid and take it to the next level. You know who did both? Derrick James. Derrick James built Errol Spence Jr. from an amateur all the way to the unified champion he was as a professional, right? Then you had Jermell Charlo, who was already a top guy in the sport of boxing, but changed his style up and made him more dangerous, made him more effective, made him an even better champion. So Derrick James, he had some promising guys too, Frank Martin and shit like that. He even worked with Anthony Joshua, had his jab a little better. You know what I'm saying? You're seeing Alicia Baumgartner using her fundamentals more and, showcasing great skills in her last fight against Shin and stuff like that. So Derrick James is a knowledgeable coach. Just a sellout, in my opinion. That's all. That's the only thing I can say about him. But Derrick James built the product from the ground up, made him world champion, and took a already good fighter and made him into an even better fighter. And that's the one who ended up becoming undisputed under his, eye. Who do you think? Who do you think some of the best southpaw coaches? I don't know. Like, I don't even really be looking at that type of shit. Like, how many coaches got southpaws? I mean, Robert Garcia got a few southpaws. Bomac had a switch hitter southpaw. I mean, Wally Moses, he got one of the best southpaws in the sport of boxing today. Shakur Stevenson. I don't know. It depends. I mean, you could look at Alexander Usyk's team. He's a hell of a southpaw. I mean, it's a few different people. I don't know who's the greatest southpaw coach of all time. I mean, I never even looked at it like that. That's a good question. Hard shit to teach southpaw? Not really. Not really. I think a lot of people overthink it, man. Like I really do. I got southpaws. I got a few. I got I got Deshaun Jones ain't been in the building in a while. I mean, he getting his shit together. He getting his life together. But he a southpaw. You know what I mean? I got fighters that switch over to southpaw effortlessly, and are still effective. Wait until y'all see this 6'5" middleweight I got. Wait till y'all see this 6'5" middleweight I got that can switch stances, punch hard with both hands, could fight on the inside. Wait till y'all see this kid. Shay said, I heard back then in Philadelphia they used to hate teaching southpaws. I don't know who, because my gym literally filled with southpaws, especially pros. We got John Carlos Rivera, southpaw. We got Juan Marrero, southpaw. We got Oluwafemi Oyeleye, southpaw. You know what I mean? At one point in time, we had Josh Jones, southpaw. We had Atifo Burlton, southpaw. Like, we definitely don't struggle with southpaws over here. We really don't. Like, it's not even a thing. We get calls all the time. Yo, man, we spar. We fighting a southpaw. Can we come work with y'all? Yeah. He said, you better take care of that kid. Who you talking about? You talking about my boy Sheed, the 6'5" middleweight? Also, I forgot to mention it on the live last night. Go check out my latest MAZUMA TV sit down with Makai No Limit Phillips, man. That was a great interview. You know what I mean? Got to learn a lot about him. 5'11", lightweight. And I seen he could switch a little bit. I seen him fighting orthodox, saw him fight a southpaw. Good body puncher, fight on the inside, got good footwork. Solid IQ. He comes in great shape. He relentless. You know what I mean? Like he got a good jab too, decent, good hand speed. That kid, he has national level experience. Fought Abdullah Mason. He fought a few different names. But was ranked number 4 in the country at one point in time. You know what I mean? So, he has a lot of potential. So if y'all didn't see that interview, go check it out. Outer Pal says, do you think more people trying to be southpaws or just naturally being southpaws because they know southpaws whooping ass? I mean, I feel like there's times where it could be for a variety of reasons. For one, there's coaches that specifically teach their fighters to be southpaw because they know that a lot of people don't like southpaws. That's one. Then you just got some left-handed motherfuckers, man. You know what I mean? You just might have some left-handed motherfuckers that are natural southpaws. Then you may have somebody who may be right-handed but fight more effectively in the southpaw stance. It could be so many different things. So it could be people trying to be southpaws. It could be people who are naturally southpaws. It may be coaches that make their fighters fight southpaw. It could be a lot of things. But southpaws, me personally, I never had a problem with a southpaw. We fought multiple southpaws and beat them. I don't feel like they're any different from an orthodox. There's certain shots that they don't see though. And if you know how to really, we stopped the southpaw at our gym last Thursday. There was a southpaw that came over from another gym. I mean, I ain't gonna say no names, but cause I fuck with his coach and shit like that. He came in, he was a southpaw, and he fought one of my amateur kids who got like 5 fights, absolute animal. And picked him to pieces, man. Picked him to pieces, man. We gave him a little game plan to follow by. You know what I mean? And he couldn't miss. He couldn't miss. You feel me? You gotta know how to, you gotta know how to approach these southpaws. Yeah, they coming from a different angle. You know what I mean? But there's certain things, just like anybody else, just like the orthodox stance, you know what I mean? There's certain shots that you just don't see. And once you set them shots up, you know what I mean? You definitely gonna do some damage. You know what I mean? It said the Russell brothers are right-handed southpaw. Shakur Stevenson is a right-handed southpaw. People don't even know that. Then you got the left-handed orthodox guys like Oscar De La Hoya, Miguel Cotto, Andre Ward. You know what I mean? You got them guys. Shakur Stevenson is a right-handed southpaw. Go watch him sign an autograph. Go on YouTube right now and put Shakur Stevenson autograph. You're gonna see what hand he used to write, and you'll be like, oh damn, I didn't even know that. Yeah. It's 5 kilometers and 20 minutes good. I'm assuming 5 kilometers. I said kilometers. I'm sure I meant kilometers. My fault. That's how you know I'm tired. Forgive me. I think 5 kilometers is like 3 miles. So that's 3.1. Yeah, 3.1 in 20 minutes is really good. That's actually really good. That's like 6 minutes and some change a mile. Pretty good. Josue Hernandez said Foster Ford presser this week. They're going to be talking that shit. Yes. That's going to be lit because neither one of them motherfuckers like to bite their tongue. They like to say what's on their mind and they confident in themselves and they don't like each other. That's another thing. Like they really don't like each other. So I'm looking forward to that. That might get a little chaotic in there, man. Because Raymond Ford don't do too much talking, but he ain't no hoe. And O'Shaquie Foster like to talk. He like to talk his shit. You know what I mean? He like to say what's on his mind. He don't really be fucking with these niggas. It's a lot of animosity between them, man. Because Raymond Ford fucked with Shakur. O'Shaquie was trying to fight Shakur. Shakur kept throwing Raymond Ford's name out there. And O'Shaquie like, oh, I ain't worried about fighting him. I want to fight you. And Shakur pretty much kept insisting that O'Shaquie fight Ray. The fans was demanding it and stuff like that. It's a great fight. And, it's getting made now. So it's on, it's lit, it's popping. Is that good for fight shape? Yeah, man. But, I'm going to say this, Shay. You definitely want to get your road work in, but what's very important is your sprints. Definitely want to get your sprints up, man. You want to be sprinting. You want to be taking time to at least sprint once or twice a week. You know what I'm saying? How you break that up, that's on you. It depends on what your body could tolerate. You know what I mean? You don't want to overwork your body and now you burnt out or, you injury prone. Take one day out of the week at least to do your sprints, man. Sprints are very important. And you got to make sure that you have, like, if you are your boxing trainer, you have to exert yourself as well, Shay. So, if you're worried about your gas tank and stuff like that, man, you have to do everything intense. You got to shadow box. You got to be very active shadow boxing. You know what I mean? When you hitting that bag, bro, bag work is what is going to really get you in shape. I'm going to tell you what's going to get you in shape. Your road work, your sprints, your bag work, and your fucking sparring. If you don't leave that gym exhausted, you're not training hard enough. If you still got energy to go outside and go to a bitch crib, or you still got energy to go outside and go chill with your mans, you ain't trained hard enough, bro. You should be like, bro, fuck that. I'm going home. Anything less than that, you failed. So you got to take yourself out your comfort zone. You want to get to a different type of shape, you got to push yourself to the limit, man. You know what I'm saying? So work hard, do this. I really don't want to give away my secrets and shit like that, but I'm gonna say this, Shay. When you hit that bag, right? You got 3 minutes. I'm assuming you're working on 3-minute rounds. Do 6 rounds, 30 seconds speed, 30 seconds boxing at your own pace, 30 seconds power. Then go right back. That's a minute and a half right there. 30, 30, 30. That means you got a minute and a half left. Then just go ahead, go back, speed, boxing, power again. If you're doing that for 6 rounds, you know what I mean? And you get that's like interval bag work, right? Intervals is what's gonna get your heart rate up. That's what's gonna get your body accustomed to fighting at an intense rate. You know what I mean? It's gonna emulate an actual fight. You know what I'm saying? But that's what's gonna take your conditioning to the next level. Bag work, road work, sprints, sparring. You know what I mean? If you cutting corners and you're not pushing yourself how you're supposed to, or you know what I mean, you feel a little uncomfortable, so you stop, you're not gonna progress, brother. You gotta be uncomfortable in that motherfucker, man. If you just comfortable the whole time, you gonna break when that pressure get on you, man. You know what I mean? So really hope you take my advice, brother, because I want to see you do well. Out of Powell said this is a big and little fight for Houston. We don't get shit like this. We had Ryan come and shit, but it wasn't a real fight. When did Ryan come to Houston? Let me know. I had a customer I was working with today that was from Dallas. She had all Cowboys gear on. I was like, man, get it the fuck up out of here. Shout out to Texas though. I don't mind motherfuckers from Texas being Cowboys fans. It'd be the Philly niggas that be Cowboys fans that be frying me. I'm like, bro, there's no way that you are a supporter of the Cowboys, bro. Like, you just doing that just so you can stand out. Like, that's what it gotta be. Like, there's no way, bro. You doing that just to get niggas amped. Let me see. Slime said this could also show you how to slow down the pace if you fight at your own. What? That could also show you how to slow down the pace of a fight at your own. Well, let me know if I'm wrong, Mark. I'm not a coach. I don't understand what you wrote, brother. You gotta correct that. Some years ago, what? Some years ago, forgot wasn't important, so forgot who he fought. Oh, you talking about Ryan? Yeah, we could check on BoxRec. Who did Ryan fight in Houston? He fought Duarte in Houston. That was a good fight, though. And he fought Luke Campbell in Dallas. I don't know why I thought that was in the UK. Oscar Duarte and Ryan was actually a entertaining fight. So I'm getting off of here, bro. Early, I ain't gonna lie, so I ain't giving no links out. I ain't been feeling it, bro. Today been a bad day for me. I ain't gonna lie. And I rarely say that. But all in all, today was a bad day. Emotionally, fucking health-wise, all that. I'm ready to sleep. I'm ready to call this shit a night. Nah, this nigga fought Luke Campbell in Dallas. I didn't even know that. I don't know why. I just assumed that was a UK fight. Boxing don't really come to Houston. Ryan only came because like Oscar was part owner of the Dynamo soccer team, so Oscar fuck Houston. I didn't even know that. That's good to know. Shout out to Houston though. I got a homie of mine that he live in Philly now, but he from Houston. He got a Nigerian name. We call him fuck we be calling him. I got his number on my phone. His name is Keon. His name Keon, but he got like that long, drawn out ass Nigerian name. Keon, yeah. He from Houston. You said, wait. Slime said, I hear you, bro. What I mean was hitting the bag, like you said, can help you slow down the pace of fight if done properly. Yeah, of course. I do situations like I do bag drills too. Whereas like we drill a combination a certain amount of times, and when we not on the bag, I have like 8 niggas on one bag, but it's like the 7 niggas that be jogging around the ring while one's hitting the bag, and then they just alternate. So it's like non-stop, cardio. Sometimes I pull out the punch counter, and I had them throw each punch 100 times for a few different rounds. Footwork drills, heavy on footwork drills, um, defense drills, heavy on sparring too. I mean, like I got a whole system, bro. I got a whole system, and it's working because my guys is doing really well in their fights. Al said Texas should be bigger in boxing, but it ain't. We one of the biggest states. Yeah, y'all definitely one of the biggest states. I think the only state that's bigger than y'all in the U.S. is like Alaska or some shit. Uh, but I just feel like Houston's a big state, absolutely. But seems like they care more about football. You know what I mean? It seems like they care more about football. So they got culture over there. It's just not, really much involved in boxing. Y'all got y'all world champions though. Y'all got the Charlo brothers. Um, so at least y'all got that. And then you look, you know, Shakur live out in Houston right now. Uh, Raymond Ford out there in Houston right now. Oshaki in Houston. I mean, y'all got some names over there for sure. Uh, Shay says, "Do I like the high guard? It depends on the situation. I'm not a huge proponent of using the high guard early on in fights because early on in fights, guys are strong. You know what I mean? They punching hard, and yeah, high guard maybe you may be able to block a shot or two, but the impact in itself is still, let's say you in front of a hard puncher and you catching everything on the high guard. They could punch you right here on the arms, the shoulders, whatever. That still has an effect on you. You catching the shots, but it's still wearing away at you. That's still going to develop some wear and tear during the fight. I'm somebody who likes to get off to the center line. You know, I teach my guys a little bit of everything. So like I had a fighter by the name of Isaiah Berry, right? We call him Zay. He was a fucking beast with the high guard, bro. I'm talking like motherfuckers could throw the 1-2, 1-2, and he and like he rolling with the shots and he countering off, boom, 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 same hand counter, boom, he come back, boom. He was a beast at that. But I also taught him how to use his legs. You know what I mean? I also taught him how to roll underneath punches. I told him how to, slip punches, smother punches, catches, parrying shots. You know what I'm saying? I teach him a little bit of everything. I don't believe in just one defensive approach, at all times, because what if you in there with somebody who knows how to fucking tear a high guard apart? You know what I mean? Like Boots is a fucking beast at picking apart the high guard. I remember when Deontay Wilder, when his right hand was really like that, he used to punch through the high guard. Niggas couldn't do nothing about it. Like high guards could work in certain scenarios. Like for instance, right? Let's say you in the later rounds, right? And you was in there with a hard puncher, but now, like, the motherfucker fatigued a little bit. His punches slowed down. His power ain't on his punches no more. You got a full gas tank. He dying out. The high guard might be really effective in walking dude down, You know what I mean? So now he letting his punches go. You catching everything on the high guard, and you ain't feeling shit because he ain't got no more steam on his punches. That's what Floyd did with Conor McGregor, walking him down with the high guard, walking him down because he knew he ain't had no gas. Walking him down, walking him down, walking him down. Eventually, Conor was spent, and now, you know what I mean? Floyd, after putting all that pressure on him, now he's starting to put the beats on him, and he ended up stopping him. So the high guard can be useful in certain situations, but it's not going to be useful in every situation. But you can say that about every defensive approach. What if your legs are your defense, but a motherfucker real good at cutting off the ring? You might have to resort to something else. What if you using your head movement and somebody's an accurate puncher and they might get the timing on your head movement, and when you move over here, boom, they jab you here, boom, they jab you here, boom, they jab you here. Your head movement might not be the best defensive approach. So you got to have multiple tools in your arsenal in case this defensive approach don't work. You got to go to this one. You got to go to plan B. Plan B don't work, go to plan C. You got to be well versed because you have to be able to adjust in order to be somebody who lasts in the sport of boxing, or at least has some sort of longevity. That's why I was so impressed with Shakur Stevenson when he fought William Cepeda. You know what I mean? Because we all knew that Shakur was a great defensive fighter, but actually, but we only really seen him. We seen him use his legs, Jeremiah Nakatila, Edwin De Los Santos. So we know that he could take that approach. And we also seen, for the most part, Shakur like to be flat-footed, and when somebody step in, he take a small little step back. He understands range, so that was a big part of his defense as well. But now I'm seeing this motherfucker use his shell. I'm seeing him roll shots. I'm seeing him catch shots. I'm seeing him counter off the shell. I'm like, yo, this motherfucker Shakur is very versatile defensively. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, like Shakur, he showed multiple ways that he could defend and be elite and be effective. I mean, nowadays, bro, I watch a lot of these fighters. Some of the fighters that we talk about all the time, I only see one line of defense in their game. I ain't gonna say who, but you know what I mean? Like this motherfucker, bro, he only got one way of defending himself. And I'm like, damn, the moment that somebody neutralizes that, he assed out. Because I've seen the same person sit in the pocket, get pieced up, no head movement. You know what I'm saying? No elusiveness. No, like he not somebody who can sit in the pocket and make you miss. Like he solely relies on this one thing in order to not get hit. And that's a very dangerous thing to solely rely on, because as you get older, that certain thing goes away. So when you get older, you're no longer able to use that tool. Then what? You're just going to be a crash dummy? It's interesting. Like, a lot of people criticize Errol Spence, right? Because he always walked with the high guard. You know what I'm saying? But what a lot of people ain't people about Errol Spence, he a step off the line, which is a great defensive tactic. Because as long as you're stepping off of the center line, you creating different angles for your opponent. They constantly got to turn their feet. If they turn in their feet, at times they're going to be off balance. As long as they're off balance, they're not in position to punch. I was not talking about Xander. I was not talking about Xander. I was watching David Benavidez, underrated defense. I know that sounds crazy. Underrated defense. Subriel Matias early on in his career, he had some underrated defense too. I see Subriel Matias. I see Subriel Matias with the high guard. I'm seeing him slip shots. I seen him take his backhand, bringing it over here. I'm seeing him catch here, catch here. Oh, yo, Subriel actually had some sort of defense, like. And then as he just went on, he just started forgetting about that shit, which was crazy to me. Ice Guy said, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rate Hitchins? So I'm going to tell you, Hitchins is very talented, right? Good speed, you know what I mean? Sound fundamentally, good jab, but athletic. You feel what I'm saying? Outboxer. He's an athletic outboxer. Don't got much pop. You know what I'm saying? But he got that. He got like that. You know, he might hit you with a sharp punch where he may get your attention. Right? Hitchens to me is, you know, like I said, got a good jab, sound fundamentals, good 1-2, but he's very basic to me. Doesn't necessarily mean he's trash, but you know, it's not really much to his game based off of what I've seen, in my opinion. You know, he doesn't really have the best tools. Like he got some good tools in his toolbox, like shit that, you know, a lot of people don't have. But it's just like he got a good jab, he got a good right, he got good straight shots. You know what I mean? He gets good, you know, he gets good leverage on his 1-2. Outside of that, I don't really see anything too impressive about Hitchens. I don't really see like crafty defense from him. You know, he might move, you know, he gonna move a little bit, you know what I mean, use his legs and shit like that. But I don't really see anything special about Hitchens. Now, Hitchens might be, because he understands range so well and he's, you know, really good at keeping fighters at the end of his punches. You know, he's gonna frustrate a lot of guys with that style alone, because a lot of these guys, you know, don't have the ability to adjust. You feel what I'm saying? Or don't have the defensive abilities in order to neutralize Hitchens' offense, right? Cool. But, you know, Hitchens, he's like, amongst all the guys that are like really spoken about, like Tank, Haney, Shakur, like I ain't gonna lie, like I don't even got him above Keyshawn. I'm gonna keep it real. So I think he's like bottom of the barrel for like the elite young dudes. Like he calls himself the best and shit like that, but you know, and I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. But I don't see anything about Hitchens that really makes me feel like he could beat anybody elite today. I don't see him beating no Gary and Antoine Russell. I don't see him beating when Subrel was in his prime. I ain't see him beating Subrel. I don't know what would have happened with that Oscar Duarte fight, because that would have been a tough style for him. Devin Haney, I think Devin Haney is like, him and Hitchens have similarities, but I do think that Devin's a lot more athletic. I do think he's faster. I think he's overall more intelligent. I think he got more tools offensively as well. And then that's another thing, like Hitchens don't like pressure. Like it's obvious to see. He gets very uncomfortable when he's in there with that strong pressure fighting style. So if I had to rate Hitchens, he probably like a solid 7.5. Solid 7.5. Being generous, maybe an 8, maybe. But I think 7.5 is more appropriate. When I'm thinking of guys that's like an 8, I'm probably talking about like a who's better than Hitchens that's like an 8. I don't even know, man. I probably put Keyshawn at an 8. I ain't gonna lie. Like I probably put Keyshawn at an 8. I don't know. That's tough to talk about, because then I might have somebody lower that I may feel like actually be better. I don't know. But if I had to rate, 7.5 maybe. Ice guy said, in my opinion, he fights like Devin Haney, but not as good as Haney, if that makes sense. Yeah, they have similarities. They have similarities. I just think that Devin's faster than him. He got faster hands than Hitchens. He got faster feet than Hitchens. I think he has better reflexes than Hitchens. Just overall more athletic to me. But not only that, like Devin Haney actually showed me dog. I haven't seen Hitchens show me dog yet. Like I don't know how he responds to adversity. Josh Kelly has solid defense. I feel like he's very reflex reliant tricks. I think he's very reflex reliant. And I know people be saying that about Boots, but Boots is fundamentally sound defensively as well. You know what I mean? He could catch punches, he could slip punches, he rolls underneath punches, he steps around. you know, Boots ain't just reflexes, yo. If y'all think he just reflexes, you ain't watching hard enough. Am I getting my son in the boxing? I'm gonna definitely teach him how to box, cause just becoming like a young man, coming up in schools where they may try to test you and shit like that. I want him to be able to know how to defend himself. I don't ever want my son to feel like, he's vulnerable or he can't defend himself in a situation where I'm not able to protect him. Um, Trick said Mario Barrios best defense in boxing. Can somebody time Tricks out for like a minute, please? 60 seconds. I think Tricks need to sit down for 60 seconds. He trolling. Yeah, Slime. I think 60 seconds will be all right for Tricks. He need to come back a better person. Um, he wilding for that. That was the most wild comment of the day. Yo, Tricks, you need to seek professional help immediately. You're not talking like yourself. I don't know what happened to you. I don't know if you touched that K2, that angel dust. I don't know what you touched, but you acting different, brother. I hope and I pray that you come back a better person. You know what I'm saying? You wildin'. Slime said, "What? What's your question, Slime? What's your question? I don't understand, bro. I'm not talking about Tiger, bro. Tiger got to prove more until we start talking about it. I don't hate Tiger. You just gas him up and he ain't prove shit. Like nigga ain't been in a 50. Like he ain't been in a big fight yet. And I think you, man. I think you jumping the gun a little bit. Tiger's not even on the Hitchins level yet. He's below Hitchins. He hasn't done what Hitchins has done. He may end up being better than Hitchins, but he hasn't been on the same stage as Hitchins. He hasn't accomplished what Hitchins has accomplished. He hasn't beat the level of opposition that Hitchins has. So it's like if I'm rating if I'm rating Hitchins a 7.5, Tiger would have to be below it. Because part of your rating is who have you fought, what have you done. Tiger best win is Nicholas Flies. Like, Hitchens' best win is Liam Paro. Liam Paro was a legit world champion. Tigers winning the Kent Mazias. That's good work. You know what I mean? I thought about it when I thought about it initially. I'm like, well, Tiger don't fight anything like Boots. You know what I mean? But I find it interesting because Tiger has a relationship with Boots. So I wonder what was that about. Maybe they paid him well. I don't know. Maybe closer with Zayas. They both were top rank. I don't know. But what I can say is he don't fight anything like Boots, but it's still sharp work. And a sparring partner not all the time has to necessarily fight just like your opponent. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just need that sharp work, keep your eyes sharp. You know what I mean? Just sharpen up your tools overall so you can be, on point for your fight. They don't necessarily have to fight like Boots, though. I don't think anybody fights like Boots. You may have some similar. You may have somebody who may do something like Boots does, but you're not gonna find somebody who fights exactly like him. Like it's not gonna happen. You know what that mean though, Slime? Most likely, Tiger gonna be at the fight because usually sparring partners be getting free tickets to fights when they help out during camp. So there's a likelihood that Tiger may be in the building. You might meet Tiger, man. I ain't gonna lie. If I run into Tiger, I'm gonna let him know. I'm gonna let him know. I'm like, yo, your biggest fan here right now. Like, yo, Slime. Like, yo, your favorite. I said, bro, Tiger, we gotta meet your biggest fan, bro. Like this nigga, he bring you up all the time. Like you gotta take a picture with this nigga, bro. I'm sure he would. If I run into him, I don't know, bro. The Barclays is huge, so we probably be on opposite sides of the arena for real. Tifo Burlton versus Ben Whitaker on Xander and Boost card. I got Teef. Like Ben Whitaker, he's getting better. You know what I'm saying? It seems like he getting more serious now. He ain't playing around as much. But man, I don't know, man. I don't know. Ben Whitaker is progressing pretty good, but Teef special, man. He's special. Special fighter. Well rounded too. Ain't much that he can't do. Ben versus Najee on that undercard. Najee Lopez kind of remind me of like they don't fight the same, but in terms of like their stature, they frame, they build, he reminds me of like Jamal Charlo when he was at 54. Just strong frame. You know what I mean? Just solid motherfuckers, bro. He remind me of Jamal Charlo when he was at 54, how big he was, how strong he was. And Najee Lopez in that fight, bro, he showed so much dog, man. Um, he was cut. He faced adversity. He was having moments that what I mean. Motherfuckers was questioning him and all that. Step on the gas. He got that stoppage. Come on, man. Come on. Najee's a fucking beast, bro. And he Puerto Rican. I always seen him repping Puerto Rico and shit, but I didn't really know his story. His his dad Puerto Rican. So shout out Najee. You know what I'm saying? I like how he always repping Puerto Rico. Najee has nice straight punches. He got good combinations. He go to the body really well too. He complete. Like offensively, he's complete, man. Crazy. That kid's gonna get better and better, man. Talented. That's a fight of the year candidate to me. Me too, Jay. That's definitely up there, man. Hopefully, we remember that shit by the end of this year. So when we do MAZUMA TV awards, you know, I gotta see. Before I call Najee well rounded, I gotta see a little bit more of his defense. Not saying that he doesn't have it, but I gotta really look more into Najee's defense because part of being well rounded is being good in every aspect. Najee showed good counters, good jab, good power, good combinations. I got to study a little bit more on the defensive side, but offensively he's complete, man. Is Ben Whitaker versus Jesse Hart 50-50? Nah, I would say 60. I would probably say 65-35. Nah, 65-35 Ben. 60-40 Ben. Jesse on the decline, man. Ben Whitaker, he's bigger than Jesse Hart. Jesse Hart's tall and all that, but he came up from 168. Ben Whitaker, he's more youthful. He got more momentum on his side. I mean, he got more gas in the tank. You feel me? Like Jesse Hart, I thought he beat Khalil Cole, but we're not gonna sit here and act like Jesse looked phenomenal like that. To me, that wasn't the case at all. Jesse looked like he, was fatiguing during the fight. Looked like he had got hurt by Khalil Cole. Um, he looked older than me. You know what I'm saying? Still got something left in the tank. Don't get me wrong, but he looked older to me. Anonymous said, "I feel like ass whooping of the year got hella options so far, man. Man, no disrespect to Shadesha Green, but the end of that fight looked like she was going that way. She looked like she was about to be one of the ones. Who got ass whooping of the year so far, man? Who got their ass whooped bad this year? Tio. Tio was getting his ass whooped by Core, man. Core was whooping him. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, Jermaine Ortiz definitely got his ass whooped bad. Oh, yo, Rob, that's definitely the one. Nah. Sugar Nunez got the shit beat out of him. Yes. Ooh, that was the worst one. To me, that was the worst one. Nigga, Navarrete beat the fuck out of Sugar Nunez, bro. Sugar Nunez wasn't going nowhere neither, though. I'm like, yo, this nigga Sugar Nunez is a fucking soldier. A soldier. I see Navarrete crack that pound for pound list. I ain't gonna lie. He did his thing. I ain't mad at it. Bro, but Navarrete whooped on Sugar, bro. God damn. Oh, yeah, Fundora Thurman. Yeah. That was that was bad. But Nunez got whooped worse than me. Like Thurman was getting what made Thurman shit so bad was how bad he was breaking up. Like this motherfucker, as soon as Fundora hit him, shit split open. He get hit again, black and blue. Get hit again, another black and blue. I'm like, God damn. It was like, yo, his face was breaking up off of every flush shot that landed. Manuel Navarrete and Nunez went how many rounds, bro? Because, bro, I was getting nervous for Sugar. I'm like, bro, they need to stop this shit. Like, this shit getting crazy. He stopped him in 11 rounds? Yeah, bro. Nah, Nunez got that shit. He got his ass whooped. Thurman got done in 6 rounds. He got done up in like 5-6 rounds. And Navarrete whooped him. Navarrete whooped him for 11 rounds. You had Nunez winning? Hell no. Who told you that? Wait. You saying you had him before the fight, you had him winning. I know you ain't have him winning during the fight. Yeah. I gave Sugar Nunez a chance because Navarrete ain't really look good. His last fight against Charlie Suarez. You know what I mean? They're gonna run that back from what I heard, which is that shit gonna be lit. If Navarrete packed Charlie, then yeah, Navarrete definitely on some bullshit. Yeah, he on some bullshit. But all right, y'all. Y'all got any last questions before I get up out of here, man? He had that nigga face looking crazy off 3 rounds of damage. Yo, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like everything that could possibly go wrong with Thurman went wrong. This motherfucker could not, he was talking all that bullshit, could not hit Fundora to save his life. Every time he got in range, Fundora met him with some hot shit. Every time Fundora touched him, he bust open. It was getting worse and worse as the rounds went on. Thurman started panicking, throwing all these bullshit ass haymakers, and Fundora seeing him, and he just stepping back, making Thurman miss all crazy, going back, punching on Thurman. Yeah, bro. But so far, bro, Navarrete and Sugar Nunez, bro, that shit had me scared, low key. I had Boxer Witch said I had Thurman upsetting too. I put some money on Thurman, but I ain't gonna lie, I ain't believe in Thurman. I really ain't believe him. I was like, bro, there's some ways that Thurman could win, but I watched that Tim Tszyu fight back, and I'm like, yo, if this nigga Fundora keep his range on Thurman like he did with Tim Tszyu, Thurman gonna be in trouble, man. That's exactly what happened. Start peppering his ass off red. Fighting old wash niggas. Yeah, niggas was gassing Fundora up way too much after that win, for real. But, Cats was gonna do what they do. Man, I'm gonna tell you why Fundora the best 154. He's tall. He started off fighting on the inside, not the outside. This nigga's corny as shit. He my favorite Mexican from Mexico. What the hell? He my favorite Mexican from Mexico fighter. Okay. Navarrete, I like Navarrete, man. Cause they be downplaying him. They be talking about how he ain't got no skill. That nigga always figure it out though, for the most part. You excited to see the Boo Xander undercard? Me too. Me too. Maybe Tiger gonna be on the undercard. Maybe that's why he's sparring Xander. Who knows? My favorite Mexican fighter is Benavidez. Bam. If you talking about Mexicans from Mexico, I don't really got one for real. For real. Yeah. No, I don't really got one. All the Mexican fighters I fuck with from the U.S. And Benavidez, Diego Pacheco. Rafael Espinoza. I forgot about him. He might be he could definitely be a favorite of mine. I gotta watch him a little more though. You like Cardenas, the one that Naoya Inoue fought. The one that put Naoya Inoue down. Once Inoue start putting hands on Cardenas, shit start getting dark. I ain't gonna Yo. But full Mexican today is Navarrete. Okay. Espinoza, big ass bully. It's funny. There's about to be 55K in that Tokyo Dome. Shit. That shit definitely gonna sell out. But I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that came through and showed love. As always, if y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way out, that'd be very much appreciated. You see what I'm saying? I'll be back at y'all with another live tomorrow, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to continue cooking up what's going on in the boxing world. Until then, I hope you guys have a blessed, beautiful one. My body, man. Peace.